Estevao longed to endear himself to the Chelsea fans, has it? His dazzling displays on the wing have quickly reinforced why he was one of the most sought-after young talents in world football. Natalie Jedra caught up with him to find out how he settled into Premier League life so quickly.
Take-ons completed by teenage wingers in the top 5 leagues. He is most active down the Chelsea right-hand side. He's on 66 ball carries for the season so far. Ball carries when you're moving the ball 5 metres or more. The end location as well of these carries really significant, driving into the penalty area in a prime position as well, location for those cutbacks that we know Enzo Maresca loves. His longest carry as well, just over 57 metres, started in fact in his own half and ends in the opposition penalty area. Let's have a look at it. It's against Brighton earlier this season. Estevao pulls wide, collects the ball from Robert Sanchez. Lovely bit of skill here, goes past Ferdi Kalioglu. Poor Lewis Dunk tries his best to get back there, but he's miles off it. And Jan-Paul van Hecke was the man to block the shot there, ruining it really for Estevao. He got the crowd going with it. But that was his longest carry at just over 57 metres this season. You can see the talent there. And a recent study by the CIS Observatory in Switzerland valued the world's most valuable teenagers. Estevao second on the list. He's already worth an estimated £104 million. And we mentioned him a little bit earlier. Lamine Yamal valued at a whopping £308 million. There are some other players that you might be familiar with on this list, though. Ethan Nwaneri at Arsenal at £78 million, alongside his teammate there, Miles Lewis-Skelly, at £75 million. Even Lucas Bergvall of Spurs there, valued at £60 million. But Chelsea certainly have a real talent on their hands.
Fai crescere la tua passione. Fai crescere la tua base click.
Yeah, they do, Dave. They certainly do. Carve's joined me on set now. Look, I mean, he seems to be being used by Maresca a little bit more as a substitute at the moment. He was certainly in the first few games he played the full 90 minutes. He seems to be coming off the bench, and he's coming off the bench and scoring the most amazing goals, not least the goal against Liverpool. So I'm guessing Chelsea are pretty happy with this wonder kid that they've got.
I mean, potentially he's an absolutely incredible player. I've seen him play a few times. He's the kind of player you would expect to be playing for Real Madrid or Barcelona, not for Chelsea, with all due respect. And I think it's really important to point out that a lot of people have had a lot to say about Chelsea's transfer strategy. Apparently they've been spending a lot of money. It's been hit and miss. Well, Dave just said there that Estevao is worth £104 million at the moment. Guess what? Chelsea would not sell him for £104 million. They bought him in a deal which was worth an initial £29 million.
Wow.
They signed him from Palmeiras. Not last summer, the summer before, so the summer of 2024. And they agreed to let him stay at Palmeiras so that he could develop. And in fact, at this summer's Club World Cup, he played for Palmeiras against Chelsea. And I think he scored against Chelsea as well. So he's come over to England. He's adapted to the Premier League really, really quickly. I think in the future, the plan is for him to play maybe through the middle. But at the moment, I don't think he's ready for that. I also don't think he's ready to start games regularly for Chelsea. And that's where Enzo Maresca, has been really, really brilliant with the way he's handled Estevao. He's been really, really careful. He's mostly played on the right. Pedro Neto is first choice in that position. But when he's come on and when he started, he's looked an absolutely incredible prospect. The kind of player that, even if you're not a Chelsea fan, if Chelsea are playing, you want to go and watch Chelsea to see what this guy is all about. Is he as good as people are saying he is?
Well, in that interview, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I know a lot of the fans are saying, come on, Maresca, play him more. But really interestingly and telling, in that interview, he says Maresca is, bringing out the best in me. That's all he wants from me, bringing out the best. So he kind of must know that actually Maresca's doing the right thing for him at the moment, perhaps not just starting him all the time.
Absolutely. And what Enzo Maresca is really good at, not only is he an incredible tactician, he's very good at developing young players as well. He's very good at looking after his players as well. We know on the right-hand side, Chelsea, he's got the option of Pedro Neto, Estevao. On the other side, he's got the option of Garnacho and Gittins. Cole Palmer is going to be coming back as well. So look, if you're a modern Chelsea player, you know, unless perhaps if you're Moises Caicedo or Enzo Fernandez, you're not going to be playing every game. You are going to be rotated. And Estevao has bought into that 100%. And also, we've seen in the past, some players from South America have found it difficult to adapt to life in the Premier League. You know, living in and around Cobham in Surrey is probably not what Estevao and his family have been used to.
No.
But he has absolutely embraced the lifestyle. And I think he's going to be an absolutely incredible signing for Chelsea. £104 million, they will not even sell you his left leg. You know, I think if you wanted to sign Estevao now, you're talking about £200 million before Chelsea would even pick up the phone to talk to you.
It's fascinating. I thought that interview was really telling as well, that he even talks about his age, and he sort of says he has to remind himself that he's just 18, and it wasn't so long ago that he was literally playing barefoot in the streets, and that's how far he's come, and he has adapted. Why? I mean, I don't know whether you can answer this, Carve. Why has he adapted so well when perhaps other players, like Florian Wirtz, where we look at him, hasn't adapted so well to come from Germany? He's come from Brazil, and he's adapted so incredibly well, even though he says it's complicated.
Yeah, I've got to be honest with you, I'm not an expert on Brazilian football. I did see a lot of Brazilian sides in the Club World Cup in the summer, and I know from speaking to people who cover Brazilian football that the Brazilian league is still physically pretty tough. You know, you can't be a flaky player if you play for a side like Palmeiras or Botafogo or Fluminense. You know, you need to have something about you. And Estevao is somebody who can handle the physicality of the Premier League, because playing out wide, you know, he's up against some very, very good left backs in the Premier League. And physically, he's been up to the challenge. Whenever I've watched him, I've never thought this is somebody who's not going to be able to handle the Premier League. Maybe he would find it difficult if he was played through the middle at this stage of his career. I think that is something that's going to come a little bit later. But I think these are exciting times for Chelsea. They've got a big Champions League game coming up at home against Barcelona as well. Who knows, Cole Palmer may be back for that too. You know, I know Chelsea get criticised a lot, but they are building something special. People have made fun of the fact that they won the Conference League. Apparently that's not a big enough trophy for a club like Chelsea. Making fun of the fact that they're the club world champions. Apparently that's a joke tournament. But I think Chelsea are going about their business really well, and they have been successful in the transfer market because a lot of their signings have worked out. And I've got to let you in on a little bit of a secret as well, because I think Chelsea are working on signing the next Estevao next summer, because we've been making some calls trying to find out what their strategy is for the January transfer window. And what they've been saying to us is, look, we're working at the moment on big signings for the summer of 26 and the summer of 27. That's what these big clubs do now. They don't just decide at the last minute to sign a player like Estevao. They identify these young talents and then they get to work on making sure that they can beat clubs like Barcelona, Real Madrid and their Premier League rivals as well when it comes to actually getting them to sign contracts.
And I guess the good news for Chelsea is that not only do they get this 18-year-old player that comes and is, playing people off the park at the moment, but he's also coming with a little bit of Carlo Ancelotti's nous at the moment, because obviously he's starring for Brazil as well. He's 9 caps for Brazil. So, with all that comes that wealth of knowledge that he can add to Chelsea as well.
And of course, it's going to be a big World Cup for him next summer. The World Cup in USA, Canada and Mexico. Brazil always are going to be one of the favourites. They will be one of the favourites. And he's got the experience of having played in the Club World Cup for Palmeiras in a lot of the same stadiums as well. And I think the conditions in the USA, Canada and Mexico are going to suit sides like Brazil much more than they're going to suit sides like England, because of the heat, the humidity in Florida, if teams play in Florida, and also the pitches. A lot of the Chelsea players, the English Chelsea players, were not happy with the quality of the pitches at the Club World Cup, the same pitches that will be used at the World Cup. But the South American players, like Estevao, are used to playing on those kind of pitches. So I think he'll be one of the stars of the World Cup next summer as well.
Let's stay with that sort of international theme, because obviously those that aren't on international duty were at Chelsea to training today, weren't they? So what news is coming out of that session today?
This is like, I don't normally get to talk about things like this because, you know, the so-called bomb squad.
Yes.
Players who are basically told, we don't want you anymore. You're not going to be training with the first team. Go away, train on your own, or train with other members of the bomb squad who are not wanted. Now, normally that is the end if you're in the so-called bomb squad. Well, what's happened today is Axel Disasi, the Chelsea centre-back who they signed a couple of years ago from Monaco for £38 million. Now, he was told, you're not required, go and find yourself a new club. At the end of